Okay guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to paper wrap your profile airplanes. There's really a lot of advantages of doing this. First of all, it becomes incredibly strong. It's like a board. It's light, and plus you have your finish all done, all completed. On both sides here. Okay, important thing here is that you're going to print out the sheets. I have the video steps to follow. The really important thing is rounding the fuselage on both sides so you get everything to meet up here in the middle. You're not going to be too concerned about the bottom because you can paint that, fill that in, but you want to meet it up on the top as best you can. Okay, so finally, let me just show you a plane that I finished. This is a Corsair 2. And let's see if I can. And this flies real nice. I'm going to have plans for this too. But that gives you an idea how you can finish these things. And it turns out to be a real nice looking plane. Okay guys, we'll continue on to the next steps. Okay, before we start, these are the supplies and tools you'll need to complete this project. First of all, Dollar Tree foam board. And there is one thing to note about the Dollar Tree foam board. It has a grain to it. It runs the length of the board. Anytime you're doing a wing or a long fuselage or something like that, run it with the length of the board. That grain is caused by ripples in the foam board. In other words, it's thicker here running this way, and then it goes thin, and then it goes thick. So you want to use that thickness for strength. Okay, the next thing you need is alcohol. Use the alcohol to remove the paper from the Dollar Tree foam board. And then clear spray, any clear acrylic spray for setting your colors on your print. Mod Podge, this is to apply the paper to the foam board. Now you can buy a big container of this at Hobby Lobby for $6 with a 40% discount. It's $3.60. You can buy little containers, 2-ounce containers for $1 at Dollar Tree. Okay, the alcohol you can buy at Dollar Tree for $1. Foam brushes you can buy at Dollar Tree. I think there's 6 for $1. Something really invaluable is this sanding block. You buy this at Dollar Tree. It has a coarse and medium grip. It's great for sanding down the foam where you want to cut things real quick and everything. It works really nice. Dollar Tree knives, there's 3 for $1. They have the snap-off blades. They're really good. And once the blade gets a little dull, you can snap it off. You get about 10 or 12 blades that way. And of course a straight edge, and you can buy straight edges at Dollar Tree for a $1. Also Dollar Tree scissors and Dollar Tree masking tape. So that's what you need to do this project. So now let's begin. Okay, first step is going to be to print out your templates. Now these are plans I'll have available for the A6 Intruder, and you're going to print these on 8.5 by 11 plain paper sheets on your computer, your printer. Now I use a program called Paint.net. It's a free program. It has a million features. You can use it for editing your photos, designing airplanes, whatever you want to do. It's a great program. It's free. It's the type of program where people contribute to it. So if you want to try to design your own planes or do something similar to this, I would suggest you downloading that program. Okay, so I'm going to provide these templates for you on my plans. What you're going to do is download them. After you print them out, and print them out to a high resolution. Doesn't use that much more ink, but it gives you a lot more detailed picture. You're going to print them out, and after they print it out and they sit for a few minutes, you're going to spray them with some clear acrylic spray. And the purpose of doing this is that it seals the ink. If you do not do that, and if you get plain wet, your hands are wet or something, the ink will smear and you'll have a messy looking airplane. So that's the first step. Okay, now we'll go on to step number 2. Okay, we're getting ready here. First thing I did, I cut a piece for this particular airplane, 6 by 21 inch is long on my Dollar Tree foam board. I removed the paper on both sides with alcohol. Now, I've cut out my left side of my fuselage here, and I leave a border around the fuselage. Do not cut off these blue lines. These are reference lines, alignment lines, and go ahead and tape that front section down to your foam board. Now you're going to take your rear section here, and you're going to line that up. You take it and line it up so the bottoms meet, everything meets. And this line here, this blue line, is straight. Got a good straight blue line. That keeps everything aligned. Everything on the bottom's good. You don't want this to end up like this where the blue line's crooked going up or down. You want the line to be straight. Everything's meeting at the bottom. Looks pretty good there. Take some tape. Tape it right here. I'm using this blue tape so you guys can see me taping this thing. Okay, don't use Scotch tape. Do not tape to the printed surface. You don't want to do that. I've seen people, they tape their templates, and they'll put it on the, actually put it on the print. And the problem with that too is that when you're cutting, that sticky stuff on the tape gets on your blade. And eventually your blade starts dragging, so you don't want to do that. Okay, the next step, we're going to cut this out. Now when you're cutting out, cut the curved surfaces first. Any of the curved things, the shortcuts, cut those first. Go ahead and cut your tail out. Cut that. And then finally, make your real long cuts. Then cut that. And then end up making this shortcut right here. And what we want to do here is secure this on our last cut so this is not moving around on us. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, and we'll be back with the next step. Okay, now we have all our pieces cut out, our printed pieces cut out. So now we're going to go to the next step, which is a really crucial step. This is where we're going to sand and round all our edges on our cutout foam here. Now the thing you want to do with this is you want to sand to the profile edge. You don't want to sand on the profile. You want to sand to the profile edge on both sides, and you're going to make like a rounded 45 on both sides. So you have a nice rounded edge. This is important. So I'm using this Dollar Tree sanding block, and I'll start up here on the cockpit. And it's sort of difficult trying to keep this in the camera, but you can see it doesn't take too much to cut it. I'm sanding, so I have that sanded, and it's sanded almost right to the profile edge. And I'll just keep sanding this. Now I'm not going to sand the whole thing for you, but I'll just jump over here to the other side now and finish this section off. And there, I got it pretty good there. So that doesn't take long, but you do want to get it rounded. So So we're going to do that to the whole thing, all the way around, except the tail. Leave the tail square. The reason why I do this is when you line up the back section of the paper when you're laying it on, you have a nice reference to start with. Okay, so I'm going to finish sanding this, and then we'll start gluing this thing together. Okay, now we're ready for our next step. We have it cut out. It's looking pretty good. No major flaws there. One thing I forgot to mention, guys, you can buy these cutting mats from Dollar Tree. It comes 2 for $1. I just tape them together, and they work fine. They don't seem to dull the blade or anything like that, so that's a good little investment. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to take our right side of our fuselage, a good pair of scissors, and we're going to cut this out exactly. Take your time, cut this out exactly. You don't need the reference line here. Cut it all the way around. So you want a nice exact cut. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll get on to our next step. Okay, we're ready to start applying our printed paper to the fuselage. I'm going to make a little mark here. Just my glue line will stop. I'm going to take my foam applicator, dip it into my Mod Podge, and I'm going to coat the fuselage here. Go all the way back, right to that line. Get some on there on the edges, round part. Okay, so we got that done. Now I'm going to do the same thing to my paper. I'm going to apply my Mod Podge to the paper. Now you want to do both surfaces. This allows you to work the paper a little bit, because what will happen if you only do one surface, the paper will absorb that glue really fast and you're not going to be able to move it around. So you want to have it, you can see the paper is curling here. So now I'm going to start at the nose, apply this, and what I do is work these edges now. I want these to end up halfway around. Halfway around that rounded edge that we just made. Okay? And I always worry about the top the most. So keep working those edges in. Okay. Keep a wet rag here, clean off this excess glue so it doesn't get all over everything. And I'm going to keep working these edges. Now if you end up with a gap or something, you can touch that up with a little bit of paint. There's a lot of ways of treating it. But I pay particular attention to the top to make sure everything meets up there. The bottom will take care of itself. Okay, so now we got this paper sticking. If there's any area that's not sticking right, if there's any area not sticking right, apply a little bit more Mod Podge. But keep working the edges. Keep working the edges. Really important. Okay, now we got that side done. We're going to flip it over and do the other side. It's very important when you're doing this, you do both sides of the foam. What will happen if you leave it sit, you're going to have a big curled piece of foam when you come back. So you want to do both sides so they dry evenly. Well, that looks pretty good. Pretty satisfied with that. I'm going to flip it over. We're going to do the other side now. And I use the matte Mod Podge. So if you get on the printed side or something, it'll blend in. You won't see it. But you got to keep working those edges. Okay, now we got to put glue on this side here. I think my video stopped, but I'm doing the other side now. So, again, you want to get this real nice and wet. Okay. And then I'll apply my other side. I want to get this to roll around these edges. Sorry I get out of frame, guys, but I start concentrating on what I'm doing, and then I'm losing focus on keeping this in the... Okay, so keep working these edges up here. And like I said, I'm not worried about the bottom, but I do want the edges to come out really nice on the top. I'm going to keep positioning this. There, I'm getting just about where I want. I keep moving this out of frame, guys. Forgive me for that. Okay, we got both our sides done up on our front now. I just want to show you this edge here. You can see it meets pretty nice. Not too much of a seam. A little bit up here on the cockpit, but it's livable. So now we're going to do the rear section. Get our Mod Podge. Liberal coat. Do the edges, of course. Okay, we'll do our paper now. Okay, let's get a rag, wipe this up a little bit here, make a mess. Okay, I'm going to start at the rear of the plane. I'm going to line all this up here, make sure we got everything lined up. It should be just about exact here, guys. We're going to roll our top edges, keeping everything aligned. Well, that looks pretty good. May end up with a gap up on this one, but that's okay. Your sport scale models, they're just planes that we build for fun to fly. Okay, this is looking pretty good. Now I'll flip it over. We'll do the other side. There's no need for me to show you that. That's just the final step here, guys. Got a little misalignment here. And just remember, keep working the edges until they adhere to the foam. Okay, we're looking pretty good there. Just about done. Okay, I'm going to do the other side. And then we'll basically be finished with this guy, the fuselage. Okay, and then we'll come back for a final review. Okay guys, we're finished covering our fuselage here. We have paper on both sides. Now the next step we're going to do, we're going to let this dry. I'll let it dry overnight. And when it's completely dry, you're going to be amazed how strong this is. Stronger than the Dollar Tree foam board with the paper. So I'm just going to weight this down. Flat surfaces, let it sit overnight, and then come back and start building the rest of my plane. Well, I hope this was enjoyable to you and it's useful to you. It's really a nice way to finish your airplanes. You save a lot of time painting and applying decals and things of that nature. Also, it makes it a very strong fuselage, and you use the same process if you want to do your wings. If you want to paper cover your wings, and just for strength, after you sand your wings, cut them out and everything, take the Dollar Tree paper off. It sucks because if it gets wet, it peels. It's heavy. The regular printer paper works great, and it makes for incredibly strong wings. Anything you cover, but always remember this, you got to cover both sides. Okay guys, signing off, and I'll be back with the rest of this build video for the Intruder.